Hey guys, TecTimmy here. So today I am super excited to be unboxing the Sofabaton X1 universal remote. All right, so here we have the Sofabaton X1. It's a smart remote, but I'm going to call this a universal remote because that's really what it is. There's limited support for smart devices right now and more support for home theater stuff. In fact, the company claims that it supports 500,000 devices, something like that, from like 5,000 brands. Yeah, there we go. Right on the side, it says a compatible 500,000 devices from 5,000 brands, something like that. So tons and tons of devices that this thing's compatible with, which I'm super excited about. I do a lot of blogging about remote controls over on one of my blog sites, universalremotereviews.com. I'll leave a link in the description down below. I recently did a review on this guy in blog format, and so I'll leave a link down below to that if you want to check that out. But just real quick, so we'll go through the box. Compatible with 500,000 devices, all in one, customizable activities, which I'll talk a little bit more about in this video. It comes with a hub, similar to Harmony type remotes. There's a mobile app as well, mostly for configuration, but my understanding is you can also use that as a backup remote. Infrared Bluetooth device control. So this will control IR and Bluetooth devices using radio frequency technology. And there's also some IR blasters in the box. I think there's two, from if I'm remembering properly. And 60 days working time. So that is on I believe it's here we go. So X1 remote, basically it says that after 3 hours of charging time with this lithium polymer battery inside, you get 2 months of working time, which is just insane. That is probably better battery life than any remote I've ever tested, Harmony included, because with Harmony, the Harmony Elite that I have here, I pretty much leave it on the cradle all of the time. So anyhow, so probably enough with the box. I mean, it looks like the company's doing a good job. I know that also there were some early reviews that were sort of negative with an early release. I would even be tempted to call it like a beta or maybe an alpha version of this. The first version that they released had some issues, and the company has worked them out. But basically, the word of caution is once you have this set up, you want to make sure that you do all of the required firmware updates, or else you can run into some of the same early problems. So hopefully they've got the latest version of the firmware on here. So I'm just going to slide the top of the box off. And ooh, yeah, okay. So super excited about this remote. And oh, I should have mentioned my usual unboxing knife has gone missing. If your neighbors or anyone knows where that went, my antique unboxing knife is gone. Please drop me a comment below or call me. How do you do that? Call me. Yeah. Anyway, so I digress. So here is the Sofabaton remote itself, which is impressive. And it's a little bit lighter than I was expecting, certainly lighter than some of the Harmony remotes that I've tested. And it has sort of a plastic feel to it, but that's fine. And then, oh, okay, so we're gonna take the screen protector off initially here. And as far as the remote itself goes, let me set that aside for a second and we'll go through the rest of the box. And I'll come back and just give a quick overview in terms of the buttons. But I love the look of it. I already like the way that it feels in my hand. I notice already there's some smudging happening on the back. So, I mean, I guess I kind of have sweaty hands, I don't know. But yeah, if that's even a thing, not really sure. But so, and then here is, it looks like we have a layer of foam rubber, which is nice. Happy to not see traditional styrofoam, which I hate. And then the documentation, I believe, oh yeah, so okay, so this actually looks fairly good. If you follow my channel, you know that what a big stickler I am for documentation. As a technical writer, I am very much tuned into the documents. It looks like the instructions are solid here, and I love the fact that they have the larger type, not the little tiny itty bitty type like Apple has. I would love it if they would actually add a space between step and one, but hey, that's just me. But it looks like we've got plenty of screenshots here, and the directions look good. I like that it's in color. That's a nice add. And it also says that the company actually cared to spend the money on a color document, so that's cool. Yeah, I'm really liking what I see from this document. It looks like even someone like me could actually figure this thing out. So, so that is encouraging. And then, I like it when companies do this as well. So we have these little surveys, share your shopping experience, tell your friends and family, advice and complaints. So they actually have an Outlook email, which is interesting. You don't see that too often anymore. Sofabaton at outlook.com. Anyhow, so yeah, so it looks like from everything that I've seen from this company and from what I've read, it seems that they care, particularly knowing the response to that, and the initial problems that they had and how quickly they got them resolved is super cool, I feel, and also smart, because I started seeing some negative reviews on Amazon with an earlier version of this product, and I said, well, it seems like it's not ready for prime time, but since then, I mean, they've definitely solved those problems from everything that I've seen, read, and videos I've watched and so forth. So anyhow, so I suppose we should start with, just to continue with the unboxing, taking out the hub here. So this is where the magic happens, if you will. So this goes onto your Wi-Fi network, basically, and sends the signals from the remote to, so the remote blasts the signals here, and then this sends them to your devices to activate them, work with them, and so on and so forth. So I like the rubberized feet on the bottom. It's not going to scuff up my home theater cabinet here. There's a couple of holes here, presumably that's for wall mounting. And then, yeah, and then so the top of the device, or the top of the hub, there's a restaurant in Boston here called the Top of the Hub. That's why I laugh. But the top of the hub just has this little hole on it, this little round circle. I don't know if that's an indicator or maybe just a decal or something, but more on that later. And then, so here are the, so we have here, it looks like a button, and indeed that is a button. I believe this remote has a Find My Remote feature, so if it gets lost in your sofa cushions, excuse me, you can actually you click that, and I think the remote will beep or maybe vibrate or something. So I believe that's what that's for, and or it could be also just a reset button for the hub. So we will find that out. And so we have USB Type 3 connector there, and presumably that's for power, and indeed it is. Yep, because I'm not seeing any other place to plug power here. So one of these cables under here is going to be a USB Type 3 power cable, I'm sure. And then we also have a couple of inputs. Those are for the blasters. So if you have devices inside your cabinets at home, home theater, cabinet, whatever it is, that are locked away behind cabinets, you can actually, so these are the mini blasters. I can tell by that because they have that same input jack here. So these are the blasters where you basically just insert that there, and then there's a nice long cable here where you can dangle these outside of your cabinet to just basically give better range of the remote. From what I've read, you probably aren't going to need to use these, particularly for your Bluetooth devices. My understanding is that the range is actually considerable. If you have a super large room or home theater, you might need to go there, but I kind of doubt I'm going to have to in my little apartment here. So they do give you 2 of these IR blasters, which is generous, so that's nice. So here is the power brick, obviously. And then so these guys have to be related to, I think, probably power and charging. So yes, we have the, so they're both the same. I believe one is used to charge the remote. Let me just see if there's a gazinta on the bottom of the remote where this would go. And indeed there is. So this would go here to charge the remote. And then this guy here would plug into your power brick. And again, like I said, after 3 hours of charge time, you get 60 hours of battery life, and that's just mind-boggling. I'll do an update. I'll actually do more videos on this guy. I'm super interested, super curious in terms of the setup process. Of course, I blog about these. I blog about universal remotes all the time, so I'm super curious about the setup process, and I'm also super curious in terms of activities and how they work and all that good stuff. So more to come in terms of videos, and that's probably a good time for me to remind you or ask you, if you're into sort of tech like this, consider subscribing to my channel. If you wouldn't just mind throwing me a like, I would appreciate that greatly as well for the video. So thanks in advance for that. And then, okay, so we're going to set this aside for now, and then we'll come back to the remote in just a second. And then finally, we have here This is the additional power. So we've got USB plugged into the power brick, and then we have USB Type 3 here, just for sake of completeness. This guy is going to plug into the back of the hub right here. And then you're pretty much set to go from there. I would go through the documentation. I might also look up some YouTube videos. Actually, I will be doing that in terms of how to do the installation and setup. Like I said, the documentation looks actually really good from this company, so super encouraged by that. But just to go through the remote real quick. So the off button is here. My understanding is that will off all of your devices that you have set up on a particular activity. So for instance, if you have an activity called Watch Netflix and your Netflix is powered by, say, like mine, Amazon Fire TV Cube, so that will automatically power down, turn off Netflix, power down the TV Cube, turn off the TV, turn off my soundbar, do all of that stuff once you have it configured properly. So really cool, and a true universal remote, very Harmony-esque, if you will, if you're familiar with Logitech Harmony remotes. Logitech basically said that they're not going to make them anymore, which was a real shocker for those of us who are, universal remote nerds like myself, for lack of a better term. So here we have a back key. I believe that is the back key to control what is going on the LCD screen. So this screen is not a touch screen, but rather a display, and you use I believe that's called a scroll wheel or some sort of a wheel, in order to navigate through the different devices and activities that will appear here. It looks fairly intuitive and fairly cool, and again, a lot like a Harmony remote, although with my Harmony Elite remote, I actually have a touch screen. So, and we have sort of this round wheel for navigation purposes, I believe, and then that would be, this I believe navigates what's going on here. This will allow you to navigate what's going on with your devices and or your television. So we have a traditional back button. The other thing I love about this, I'll just say, is it's a lot like those simple remotes that come with your other devices. There's not a million keys here, and it's very sort of easy to get the lay of the land in terms of where you're at, compared to, say, something like the Logitech Harmony Elite, which has a bazillion buttons. And let me just grab that. So there's my Harmony Elite, and maybe not a bazillion buttons, but certainly there's more going on than with the Sofabaton remote. In some ways, I mean, this remote has been the high-end remote of choice for the past 10 years, if not longer. Correct me if I'm wrong by leaving a comment in the description. I believe it's roughly around 10 years, at least with this model. And this has done me well, but where Logitech is no longer making them and support is unclear, it's time to start thinking about new options, and that's why I arrived here. So just to continue with the rest of the buttons, so we have a home button, a menu button, this is volume up and down, obviously, a mute button, and channel up and down, and then very sort of cool here, thinking in terms of just all the binge watching I do, like we have your, play, pause, fast forward and rewind buttons right on the remote itself. Super, super cool, and not, required that you mess around with the flywheel there. And then here, my understanding with these color buttons on the bottom is that they're customizable, and you can map pretty much all of the buttons on the remote to your activities and or devices. But I'm thinking that down below there, those are going to be my different streaming services. So watch Apple TV, watch Roku, watch Fire TV, and so forth. So yeah, just a simple unboxing video for today, but I'm really excited to get this going and to also start filming additional videos for you guys about it. The next video that I'll do will be a setup and configuration video, and then I'll also do some demo videos of how activities work to fire up my various devices. My next thing is, in terms of smart home support right now for this is limited, but again, this company seems to be on it, so I feel like they will be doing more with that in the near future. Same goes for Alexa integration as well as the Google Assistant. I believe that the integration right now is limited. Of course, I haven't had a chance to test it yet, and I will put this through the paces, but super encouraging, about the smart home thing, oops, pardon that jigginess there. My understanding is that it's basically Q lights and Sonos speakers that are supported right now in terms of the smart device front. But again, 500,000 home theater devices. And this is also a learning remote, so you can point it at an existing remote if you have one, and it will learn from that remote. So able to control lots of different devices that way as well. So again, excited, looking forward to testing this for you guys. And yeah, if you got any value from this video, if you would, again, just mind giving me a thumbs up, and please subscribe. I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope this was helpful. And if you're buying the X1, enjoy it, and I hope you're as excited about it as I am. Cheers, see you in the next video.